Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome to today's explainer. You know, historically, humanity's search for the divine was pretty much dominated by rigid institutional dogma. But today, we're seeing this massive evolution toward the individual quest. If you're a skeptical thinker who really wants to cut through all the noise and map out exactly how these two totally different approaches operate under the hood, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to use our source material to unpack the fundamental mechanics driving these paths. And look, this isn't about picking sides, it's just about breaking down the concepts so you can see exactly what powers them and maybe figure out how they impact your own daily mental clarity.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're looking at 1, the quest versus the dogma, 2, internal versus external authority, 3, experience versus strict obedience, 4, the search for meaning, 5, the approach to doubt, and finally, 6, choosing your own path.
All right, section 1, the quest versus the dogma. Let's get into it. Based on our sources, spirituality is described as this highly personal, internal, and non-egoistic journey. It's definitely not some prepackaged destination that somebody else defined for you. Instead, it's a continuous individual search for a higher self, for connection, and ultimately transcendence. Think of it kind of like an artist finding total flow in their work, or maybe someone discovering profound daily mental clarity during a quiet morning walk. It's a direct, unmediated relationship with the universe that focuses entirely on internal mechanics.
On the flip side, the source defines the religious framework as external, rigid, and requiring unquestioning adherence to a prescribed set of beliefs, rules, and rituals. So instead of open-ended personal exploration, this path is built on following preset historical instructions, usually done in the name of God. Moving right along to section 2, internal, the external authority. This divide is super interesting because it literally dictates who has the final say in what is actually true. Spirituality, that relies entirely on internal authority. We're talking about your direct experience, your intuition, and your personal insights. It's exactly like navigating a dense forest using your own internal compass. Religion, however, relies strictly on external authority. Think historical texts, established gurus, or fixed practices. It's like navigating that exact same forest, but strictly following a centuries-old map drawn by someone else.
Okay, section 3, experience versus strict obedience. Now, for the skeptical thinker who's seeking personal meaning, the daily application of these two authorities looks radically different. Historically, practice meant strict obedience to doctrines, like attending specific services or performing mandated traditions just to achieve salvation. But the evolving spiritual path shifts the emphasis almost entirely over to the experience itself. The focus here is on finding daily mental clarity and a real felt connection with the divine, or even just nature, through practices like meditation and quiet contemplation.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is flexibility versus rigidity. The spiritual journey is inclusive, it's fluid. You might seamlessly integrate wisdom from Eastern philosophies, Western psychology, maybe even modern science. But the religious path, according to the text, is fixed and exclusive. The path is already completely laid out for you, which leaves very little room for personal interpretation. And the source actually notes that this can sometimes result in a lack of critical thinking relevant to our rapidly changing modern world.
Section 4, the search for meaning. When we really look at the underlying motivations here, the divide gets even deeper. I mean, why do people choose one over the other in the first place? Well, the spiritual seeker's primary quest is personal growth, self-discovery, and meaning. And let's be honest, that's a path that requires a pretty challenging amount of deep self-honesty and continuous internal auditing. On the other hand, the religious framework often caters to a really fundamental human psychological need, which is the desire for certainty, security, and a clear group identity. It fundamentally just feels safe to have all the answers provided for you.
Section 5, the approach to doubt. This brings us to a simple but honestly profound crossroads. How is doubt treated? What exactly happens when you inevitably encounter a question, a contradiction, or just a really serious doubt about the path you're currently on? Here, the source material notes the absolute starkest contrast. Spirituality actively demands critical engagement. Investigating and really questioning your beliefs is seen as a completely necessary tool for growth. But within the institutional framework, questioning is very often viewed as a lack of faith. According to our sources, institutional dogma inherently rejects critical examination in favor of what it frames as blind acceptance and strict obedience. All right, bringing us to section 6, choosing your own path. I want to leave you with this final, incredibly empowering thought taken directly from the source material. It says, we can choose any path we want, but we need to be aware if it is working or not. The ultimate choice is entirely yours. You have the total freedom to follow the map of tradition, or you can build your own internal compass. But the source leaves us with this really provocative challenge. Regardless of the historical framework or the personal evolution you decide to embrace, are you practicing enough deep self-awareness to actually know if your chosen path is working for you? Are you truly finding the meaning, the mental clarity, and the growth you're seeking? Take some time to really reflect on that. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning and keep seeking clarity.